Hey, welcome. So, I want you to imagine something for a second. What if you, yes, you, could directly shape the research that's going to define our health tomorrow, or the policies that build our communities? Well, that's not science fiction. It's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to see how the lived experience of everyday people is becoming a powerful force for the future of science in Canada. So, let's just start with the biggest question of all, right? Who's actually in the driver's seat? Who decides which research projects get the green light and, end up shaping our lives? Is it just a handful of scientists in a lab totally disconnected from the real world? Or is there a place at the table for us? The answer, it turns out, is changing, and probably a lot more than you think. To really get why this is such a big deal, we kind of have to look back. For a long time, research felt like it was happening way up in some ivory tower. Super smart, but also super far away from our day-to-day lives. And the thing is, that distance isn't just a feeling, it's a real problem. Research that doesn't have input from the very people it's supposed to help, it's like trying to hit a target with a blindfold on. You're almost guaranteed to miss. And this is where we get to the missing piece of the puzzle. We're finally figuring out that real expertise isn't just about having a PhD. There's even a special term for it now, a knowledge user. Now, I know that sounds a little jargony, but what it means is huge. It's a total shift in thinking. People aren't just seen as passive subjects to be studied anymore. No, they're active partners because their lived experience is absolutely vital. So who are we talking about here? Well, it's a whole range of people. It could be a policymaker trying to write better laws or a community leader who knows their neighborhood inside and out. It's definitely patients and their caregivers who have firsthand knowledge. And it's also the healthcare professionals on the front lines. And, so importantly, Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers. Every single one of them brings a perspective that you just can't get from a textbook. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But the real question is, how do you actually get involved? Well, the good news is there are clear ways to do it. In Canada, when it comes to health, the main organization is the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, or CIHR for short. And they've built a powerful system for exactly this. It's called the College of Reviewers. And listen, we are not talking about some small, symbolic committee. The College of Reviewers has more than 4,000 members. That is a huge number. It just goes to show you how serious and robust this system is. It's basically the engine that helps decide how our public money gets spent on health research in this country. So the scale of this commitment is massive. So how does it all play out? The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, researchers from all over the country send in their ideas for new projects. Then, and this is the key part, a committee of peers gets together to evaluate them. And that committee includes both academic experts and knowledge users. Finally, based on what they all say, the funding decisions are made. So your voice can be right there, in the middle of it all. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, this sounds incredible, but it also sounds really intimidating. I'm not qualified for that. But hold on. The whole system is actually designed to help you get started, with a ton of support built right in. Let's just tackle the biggest question head on, because it's the one that always comes up. Do you have to be a scientist to do this? And the answer is a big, loud, definite no. Actually, it's pretty much the opposite. The expertise that the CIHR is actively looking for is the kind that doesn't come from a lab. Your experience as a patient, your insight as a caregiver, your knowledge as a community leader. That's the gold they're looking for. That's what makes research relevant. And they don't just throw you in the deep end. There's a whole program called the Reviewer in Training Program. It's designed to ease you into it. You can be a mentee, where you're paired up with a seasoned mentor who shows you the ropes. Or there's a role for early career researchers who start with a smaller workload. The point is, you're never on your own. And of course, nobody expects you to know everything from day one. There's a ton of training to give you all the tools you need. You learn things like how to spot unconscious bias, why thinking about sex and gender is so critical in research, and understanding the specific context of Indigenous health. It's all designed to empower you so you can make really fair, really relevant evaluations. Okay, but what about the practical side? Is this just volunteer work? Nope, and it shouldn't be. Your time and your expertise are valuable, and the system actually recognizes that. So reviewers get honorariums for their work, and even when you're in the training program, there's a $50 daily allowance for meetings. The goal is to make sure that money is never a barrier to participating. So far, we've focused a lot on health, which is huge, of course. But this whole idea of tapping into everyone's expertise, it goes way, way beyond that. It's starting to pop up in all kinds of research that shapes our society. Because really, what we're talking about is something much bigger than just getting better science. When we have a real voice in the research process, we're doing something fundamental for our democracy. It builds trust, it demands transparency, it makes our big institutions more accountable to us. It really is a win-win for everyone. And you see this principle everywhere now. We're talking about the social sciences through SHRC or the natural sciences and engineering through NERSCIRC. Think about it. Huge decisions about our environment, our economy, our education system, they all depend on research. And for that research to actually work, it has to be connected to what's really happening on the ground. So, what does all this boil down to? It's a pretty simple but powerful idea. Billions of our public dollars are invested in research every single year. By getting involved in these processes, we can help make sure that money is spent on the things that truly matter. Which brings me to a question I want you to really think about. What's your expertise? Maybe it's a life experience you've had. Maybe it's a deep knowledge of your profession or your neighborhood. Your unique point of view just might be the exact missing piece that could make a research project go from good to truly life-changing. And that's our look at this for today. If you found this interesting, please give it a like and share it with people you think should hear about it. More than anything, I want to know what you think, so please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Does this whole idea resonate with you? Oh, and feel free to suggest topics for our next explainer too. And for anyone who wants to go even deeper, stay tuned, because we're going to be launching some discussion groups very soon. Thanks so much for joining us.